And speaking of Francis Ngannou, someone you just brought up, it looks like he expressed a lot of interest in a fight against Tyson Fury and said that he won't renegotiate with the UFC unless that Tyson Fury fight is on that contract. So what do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I've heard him do another interview where he said, I want to work with the UFC because there's a bigger scale that goes on. You can have a one Tyson Fury fight and make one chunk of money and then you're done for the rest of your career. Ngannou is a mixed martial artist. He's not a boxer. So you can't leave the UFC contract, go to a WBC contract, fight boxing, and try to come back to the UFC. So that being said, as an athlete, Ngannou's going to learn that you've got to learn to work with the UFC, with the WBC, with the money. Everybody gets to share. We all get to work together. Otherwise, you don't get to be a mixed martial artist. You get to be just a boxer. So he's got to make that decision himself. He's mentioned that himself. He knows. So I think those two will come up with a deal, and it'll merge boxing and mixed martial arts. And in a perfect world, that's ideal for the heavyweight division and for fighting in general. Combat sports, I think it's an amazing thing. But again, I want to touch on how tough Ngannou is to stay champion, to not retire, to not give up the belt, to stay under the fire, under the heat. Remember, when you're behind like this, you've got people chirping at your heels trying to get that belt. So you're hurt and you're waiting for this opportunity, but you don't get to use it. To stay under the fire and to stay in the competition under that amount of pressure while you can't compete is extremely difficult. Ngannou's under a heavy fire that people don't know about when you're injured with the world title. I did it for 2 years. It's not easy. It's one of the hardest things I ever did. So respect to Ngannou, all the prayers and best wishes to your recovery, and good job staying tough in there and staying champion and building the division. Even though you can't compete, it's not easy to be where you're at. I hold you high.
Yes, and very well said. Now, speaking of that, the top of the heavyweight division, it looks like Dana White is proposing maybe a interim title fight between Jon Jones. Finally, we'll see him move up to heavyweight against Stipe. What do you make of that? And also Jon Jones moving up to heavyweight.
That's another reason why we can't see Ngannou and Tyson Fury right away, what you just said. If Tyson and Fury happens, then that pulls him out of the contracts with Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic. Yeah. So how is the UFC and Ngannou going to work that out? I don't know. But we can't have all these fights you just mentioned unless we just...
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, unless we make a bridge. So I don't know how they're going to do that. The UFC is some of the best matchmakers on earth. WBC knows what they're doing. I have no doubt that Dana White and them and the businesses know what they're doing. So I couldn't answer that question, but I think they'll get it done because it's good for the sport of just fighting in general. Boxing, mixed martial arts, wrestling, Muay Thai, all of it. We all get to come together and work as one, I think, eventually.